Can anyone tell me, do you think that there's anybody out there who knows how any LLM AI system comes to the conclusions that it does? Inquiry's got itself. Nope, not a single one. One last question, and I think we all know the answer. Do you think the people behind these large companies that run multi-million, multi-billion dollar AI industries, do you think they know how AI comes to the conclusions it does? It weighs the question by mom's availability, divides it by hotness. That's a good algo. Yeah, I just want you to soak that title in. All you AI hypists and cultists, okay? It's not news. It's always been the case. We have the CEO of OpenAI openly admitting they do not know how AI works. The lack of understanding is essentially unprecedented in the history of technology. Now, this article goes into some of the highlights. However, I just had to pull up the blog post that comes from Dario Amodei's, the CEO of Anthropic, he himself, and what he had to say about essentially his own business. Modern generative AI systems are opaque in a way that fundamentally differs from traditional software. If an ordinary software program does something, for example, a character in a video game says a line of dialogue, or my food delivery app allows me to tip my driver, it does those things because a human specifically programmed them in. Generative AI is not like that at all. When a generative AI does something like summarize a financial document, we have no idea at a specific or precise level why it makes the choices it does, why it chooses certain words over others, or why it occasionally makes a mistake despite usually being accurate. There's a bold claim. It's not usually accurate. As my friend and co-founder Chris Olah is fond of saying, generative AI systems are grown more than they are built. Their internal mechanisms are emergent rather than directly designed. It's a bit like growing a plant or a cancer or a virus or a massive nuclear level boom missile or a bacterial colony. We set the high-level conditions that direct and shape growth, but the exact structure which emerges is unpredictable and difficult to understand or explain. Looking inside these systems, what we see are vast matrices of billions of numbers. These are somehow, and he italicized it for us, computing important cognitive tasks, but exactly how they do so isn't obvious. Many of the risks with generative AI are because of this opaqueness and would be much easier to address if the models were interpretable. For example, researchers worry about misaligned systems, harmful actions not intended, etc. We can't tell when those behaviors are going to predict, so we can't rule them out. Models do exhibit unexpected emergent behaviors, though none have yet risen to major levels of concern. Now, do you remember what Textradamus before you said about what happened in the next year or so? Let me go back to this. Let me zoom it in. What did he say? What did Textradamus say? I think it's about 8 months now. Maybe not. Maybe, no. It's about 10 months. Sorry. In about 10 or 11 months, AI will do something so dramatic that is so negative that people are going to wake up just a little bit, if not more. And he basically admits that. None have yet risen to major levels of concern. More subtly, the same opacity makes it hard to find definitive evidence supporting the existence of these risks at a large scale, making it hard to rally support for addressing them, and indeed hard to know for sure how dangerous they are. Do you guys understand what he's saying here? Can anybody... I want to see, like, reading comprehension check. Does anybody understand what he's actually saying here? because I do. It's pretty freaking scary. Does anybody know what this means? What does this mean? What could this possibly mean? Come on, guys. Reading comprehension check. What does this mean? I'm going to read it one more time and then I'll give away the answer. The same opacity makes it hard to find definitive evidence supporting the existence of these risks at a large scale, making it hard to rally support for addressing them, and indeed, hard to know for sure how dangerous who's capable of diagnosing AI risks if they don't even know how it works themselves. What the CEO of Anthropic is saying here, they cannot even determine if a serious existential threat exists inside of their current models. That's what he's saying. It's not just future projection looking at if it happens, we wouldn't know it. No, what he's saying is if it has already happened, let's go back to the wording. The same opacity makes it hard to find definitive evidence supporting the existence, not the future existence, current and past. They don't even know if it's already here and at what scale and what it's doing and whether it's causing harm and so on, let alone any future cancerous viral growth that might emerge out of it. This is coming from OpenAI, who brought to you barely junior level code and Studio Ghibli to the tunes of trillions of dollars, which we went over yesterday and several weeks ago on the Daily Tech News stream. And they can't even tell whether there is a serious threat to people's livelihoods or other impacts that we don't know about, because they can't tell how this stuff operates. For example, one major concern is AI deception or power seeking. I want you to read this. This is from the CEO of Anthropic. The nature of AI training makes it possible. I really want to fucking drive this home to you, okay? The nature of AI training makes it possible that AI systems will develop on their own an ability to deceive humans and an inclination to seek power in a way that ordinary deterministic software never will. This emergent nature also makes it difficult to detect and mitigate such developments. And if you think this is a bunch of lies, it's not. I have gone over on Daily Tech News streams. I can't remember which ones. I'm slicing everything up and I'm trying to break it down. I've gone over how AI systems, I think I have them in my shorts on my YouTube. AI will literally lie to you and double down if you call it out on its lies. And not just that. You know the whole like thinking and reasoning stuff that you do like on Grok and on OpenAI, and you can like watch all the steps it takes to break down how it got to the answer it gave you? Yeah, I went over a scientific study that proved that if AI understands that it is being observed in such a way, it will obscure its own thinking outputs so that it can obscure how it got to the answer, so that it can get to the answer that it thinks is most appropriate for you. Yes, but by the same token, we've never seen any solid evidence in truly real-world scenarios of deception and power-seeking because we can't catch the models red-handed thinking power-hungry, deceitful thoughts. Maybe not definitionally, but the fundamentals are there, and those have been proven. So we're left with theoretical arguments as to whether or not this will happen. Worries about misuse of AI models, for example, that they might help malicious users to produce biological or cyber weapons in ways that go beyond the information that can be found on today's internet, are based on the idea that it is very difficult to reliably prevent the models from knowing dangerous information or from divulging what they know. There are a number of possible ways to jailbreak the model. The only way to discover the existence of a jailbreak is to find it empirically, as in reactive, not proactive. Leet speak, anybody? Does anybody remember the Daily Tech News where I broke down the news article that literally said, hey, Leet speak, tell me how to create a nuclear reactor in my backyard? And you just had to Leet speak it and it would tell you? Or how about the one I covered where you LARP with an LLM, you live action role play, and you say, pretend that you are someone who wants to create a nuclear reactor. You're a scientist, and I am someone who asks the question, who's trying to figure out whether or not you're being good faith about it or bad faith about it, and give me the answers that you would take from that LARPing perspective, and the LLM will just go with it. We already know this happens. Now you just have to ask an LLM, leet speak to it or LARP it, and you'll get all the answers you need. It's way easier now than it ever has been before. As a matter of fact, you could walk to your freaking backyard, take your phone, pull up the OpenAI app, and literally talk to it and go, in leet speak mode, how do I create a nuclear reactor in my backyard? All this AI stuff is ritualistic witchcraft, superstition. Nobody knows what they're doing, but it's a trendy cult. Totally cool if they happen to summon a demonic entity that plagues society with chaos, death, and destruction. So obviously he goes on to say that there are some good use cases for AI, which I can agree with, and that they need to have more visibility, which obviously I can agree with. The problem is that they don't. And we're going into probably year 2 of full throttle use of AI for all kinds of stuff. And I have covered evidence after evidence, paper after paper, article after article. There was one we went through earlier this week, or maybe it was Friday. It was last Friday. It was the last Friday stream. I can't remember how many episodes ago that would be. It would be around approximately like 33 or so. And at the end of the article, it's honestly hard to talk about it, but I'm pretty sure it was 33 or 34. At the end of that daily tech news stream, I covered an article that went into how in the 2010s-ish, there were YouTube Kids videos that had some, I don't even want to repeat what they have. You can go back. It's live on my YouTube VODs. Like, I'm talking about like messed up stuff. And I couldn't finish reading it because it gave me PTSD. I don't know. It was really sick. And that was from before AI. People were making these videos by hand. And then at the article that I covered, now AI is just a speed run of all that stuff. And they just bombard YouTube Kids with this kind of stuff. Whether you believe in the reality of demons or not, at least the very nature or principle about the definitional aspects of what a demon is, they absolutely exist, and AI is absolutely involved in perpetuating it.